was an accident so stupid, it was like running with a pencil. It was not risk he was taking.
As a family, the Irwins have always been the embodiment of optimism, love, and strength. Animal welfare and their inseparable bond with Earth have long been topics of their public discourse. Regardless, a terrible incident has been going down behind the scenes, and no one anticipated it. A strong and dedicated mother, Terry Irwin has courageously carried on Steve's legacy, and she has been reduced to tears by a terrible development in her child. A previously bright future has taken a sudden and tragic turn, and the family is struggling to understand and adapt to this new reality. At the heart of this story of abrupt change and broken dreams is the pain a mother feels as she watches her cherished child face an unexpected challenge. After crocodile hunter Steve Irwin's death, it is hard to imagine life without his enormous personality and infectious love of animals. Steve tragically passed away in 2006 in a strange stingray accident. Millions of hearts were broken all across the world by the loss. Not only was he the father of Terry and her husband's 2 children, but he was also Terry's best friend and business partner, making her grief at his death all the more devastating. The circumstances after Steve's death have been described by Terry on several occasions. She described it as a time when she felt entirely lost. She said, "Steve wasn't just my husband, he was my soulmate," in an emotional interview given after his death. By uniting in their mission to save endangered animals, they had built a family and a legacy. Terry was now burdened with the insurmountable task of carrying on that legacy alone. However, Terry's actions that followed were truly extraordinary. Terry, unfazed by her grief, did something courageous that would change her life. She pledged to continue Steve's efforts so that his mission to protect animals would continue. "I had to do it for Steve, for our kids, and for the animals," she added. "That was the only way forward." Terry devoted her life to running the Australia Zoo, which was a source of great joy for the Irwin family. That was tough. Since the zoo had always been a shared goal, the loss of Steve made the park seem like an inhumane reminder of her loss. Instead of seeing the zoo as just a place to see animals, Terry saw it as a chance to teach people about conservation and as a living monument to Steve's dream. While she was director of the Australia Zoo, the conservation and rescue initiatives for animals really took off. Terry has expanded their wildlife hospital, which has helped tens of thousands of creatures in need, among their other successes. She was also the driving force behind efforts to create wildlife corridors and safeguard endangered species. Terry was given a lot of responsibility, but being a mother was becoming more important to her. Terry shifted her focus to her children, Bindi and Robert, after Steve passed away. Knowing that they were grieving as well, she wished to ensure that they felt supported. The significance of Bindi and Robert carrying on their father's work was stressed by Terry. Bindi, who was just 8 years old when she gave her touching speech at Steve's funeral, referred to him as her idol. Robert would grow up to be an emotional and physical exact duplicate of his father, despite being only 2 years old when the accident occurred. Terry has spoken openly about the painful times she saw Steve's legacy in her children on several occasions. There are times when Robert will do something, whether it's the way he talks about an animal or the way he smiles. "And it's like Steve is right there in the room," she said while shedding a tear. These encounters gave her hope, despite the fact that they overwhelmed her with emotion. When Bindi's 2008 Emmy-winning TV series, Bindi the Jungle Girl, was announced, Terry felt a rush of emotion. Witnessing her daughter carry on the Irwin legacy and motivate countless young viewers was an emotional event for Terry. She continued by saying that it was a full-circle moment when she understood that Bindi's appreciation for nature had developed despite their struggles. Terry shares Robert's enthusiasm for his work as a wildlife photographer. His stunning images of animals in their natural habitats have attracted admiration from all around the world and brought much-needed attention to conservation efforts. Terry has expressed her sadness at witnessing Robert take Steve's place as the torchbearer. "When I see him with a crocodile or snapping photos of wildlife, "It's like looking at a younger version of Steve," she said. "It's bittersweet, but mostly it's beautiful." The ones that Terry makes public are the most heartbreaking since they reveal her true feelings for Steve. The journey that Terry and her family have traveled has been the subject of several speeches and interviews. Some of her most poignant remarks have dealt with the challenges of living life after Steve's death. In a moving speech she delivered at a conservation event, Terry discussed the importance of finding the will to persevere. Many of Terry's fans and admirers have commented on how genuine and honest she is. Her tale of tragedy and triumph has inspired many. Terry Irwin's unwavering determination continues to serve as an example to this day. The extent to which her endeavors have advanced Steve's legacy would amaze even Steve himself. With her unwavering commitment to conservation on a global scale and her encouragement of her children's remarkable journeys, Terry has repeatedly shown that love and perseverance can overcome insurmountable odds. By sharing our joys and tragedies with Terry, we have shown that the Irwin family can overcome adversity and unite in our mission to make the world a better place. Robert Irwin's remarkable transformation throughout the years is a reflection of his illustrious father, the renowned Steve Irwin. From the time he was a tiny child, he has been welcomed by the wild beauty of nature, the powerful roar of creatures, and the love of a family that values conservation. Because his journey has fascinated his mother, Terry Irwin, she has cried tears of pride. So how did this little boy, who was often seen following crocodiles, mature into a revered wildlife photographer, beloved public figure, and environmental activist on a global scale? An unique path began Robert Irwin's life. The wonders of nature first came into his view not long after he was born on December 1, 2003 in Queensland, Australia. Growing up at the Australia Zoo, a sanctuary for animals, with his mother Terry and renowned crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, was more than simply a house. Imagine yourself as a little child frolicking with crocodiles in the backyard. Robert wasn't the kind to sit on the sidelines as a child. Instead, he spent time helping out around the house and learned practical skills like feeding kangaroos and caring for reptiles from his dad. Along with animal care, students learned about respect, compassion, and stewardship. After Steve passed away suddenly in 2006, Terry made sure that Robert and Bindi stayed involved with the profession that their dad was so passionate about. One of the earliest signs that Robert would grow to appreciate nature deeply was his endless curiosity. During his father's presentations, he showed a keen interest in learning, investigated animal behavior, and asked many of questions. Unlike other kids, Robert's love for the outdoors only became greater as he got older. Robert proved to the world that he inherited his dad's boundless enthusiasm when he started making television appearances with his mother and sister at the tender age of 4. The infectious smile on this small boy's face was captured by his camera. Robert wasn't just carrying on his father's work, he was definitely carving out a niche for himself. Robert captivated audiences across the world as his charisma and energy blossomed. Because of his unique bond with animals and his status as more than simply Steve Irwin's son, he had already become famous by the time he was a teenager. Is it going to be too much for you to bear to play live in front of 1 million people before you turn 18? An amazing moment for Robert occurred during his tenure on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Robert enthralled audiences with his confidence, humor, and wealth of knowledge while presenting a diverse array of exotic creatures, including sloths and snakes. He paid respect to his father's legacy while putting his own charming touch on educating and entertaining. These appearances weren't just about showcasing cute animals, they were also an opportunity to raise awareness for worthy causes. Conservation efforts, endangered species, and the importance of enjoying animals were the key themes of Robert's speech, which enthralled audiences of all ages. His charm was genuine, and no amount of pretending could match it. In time, Robert's acting resume grew to encompass more than just conversation shows. He also appeared in documentaries and wildlife specials. His charm, naturalness, and mastery of the camera made him a beloved figure in the conservation media community. Throughout his life and career, Robert has gone through several turning points, from being an inquisitive child to a prosperous environmentalist. He has received much praise for his work as a wildlife photographer. Robert Irwin's photographs have graced exhibition walls worldwide. Even as a young boy, Robert had a knack for taking pictures that would later become his livelihood. He had a lifelong interest for photography. Over the years, he has received several accolades for his stunning wildlife photography. His images often show endangered species in distress, together with the delicate environments in which they thrive, emphasizing the vital need to preserve these places. In 2020, his breathtaking shot of a forest in flames won him the title of Wildlife Photographer of the Year. The photo was breathtaking, and it poignantly highlighted the sad repercussions of climate change. This was a turning point in Robert's life. It proved that his art could inspire and enlighten people everywhere. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but Robert's photos are worth 1,000 calls to action. But Robert's influence isn't limited to photography. At the Australia Zoo, he helps with conservation efforts and day-to-day operations, such as rescuing injured animals and starting breeding programs for endangered species. Robert is very aware of the zoo's mission. One of his notable projects is the Crocodile Research Program, which tracks the movements and behaviors of wild crocodiles. This study is critical for understanding how to coexist peacefully with these incredible reptiles and their environments. Robert has delivered powerful speeches at international conservation conferences in addition to his work at the zoo, and he often stresses the significance of youth involvement in protecting the environment. Among conservationists, he has a stellar reputation for making complex ideas approachable and inspiring. Robert Irwin's story of success and failure is more than just his life story. It is the continuation of a family legacy that began with his father and is flourishing now because of Robert's unique talents. Those that battle for animal rights look forward to him as an inspiration because to his passion, expertise, and perseverance. Going from a scared little boy who fearlessly handled snakes to an accomplished photographer and environmentalist isn't enough. He must also make his mark. A life lived with passion and determination may accomplish great things, as Robert Irwin's story shows. His pride knows no bounds as his mother Terry, who has been his rock throughout his life, sees her son blossom into an outstanding young man. The globe stands by as Robert's narrative unfolds, and one thing is very clear: his transformation is only getting started. Through his work in filmmaking, advocacy for environmental causes, and inspiring today's kids, Robert Irwin demonstrates time and time again that the Irwin legacy is thriving. I'm sure Steve Irwin would be beaming with delight if he could see him now. Devotional occasions for Terry Irwin. The Irwin family's tale is one of the most inspiring and heartbreaking in the realm of animal protection. Famed family matriarch Terry Irwin has experienced love, loss, tenacity, and hope throughout her life. As she has struggled to come to terms with the loss of her husband, Steve Irwin, she has found immense joy in witnessing her son, Robert, grow into a passionate advocate for the environment. Let us take a closer look at the moments when Terry wept with immense pride and affection rather than grief. Robert has always set very high standards for himself. Being the son of the famed crocodile hunter, he spent his childhood surrounded by admirers who put him in the limelight. But Robert has not given in. On the contrary, he has gone forward unabated. Among his numerous achievements over the past few decades is his photographing of animals. International praise has been showered upon Robert for his breathtaking images of wild animals. A photograph he snapped of an Australian forest after a devastating fire went viral and was included in several exhibitions. It managed to catch a ray of hope amidst the devastation. This scenario had a deep impact on Terry because she saw Robert draw on his talents to tell stories about the power of nature. Robert has a gift for drawing people together via his art, and Terry is always quick to point this out in interviews, adding, "It's like he's channeling Steve. She spoke with an emotional quiver. Robert's passion for capturing the beauty of the animal kingdom isn't just about taking pictures. It's about inspiring action to protect these creatures. Seeing her son pursue a career that combines art and conservation gives Terry the impression that her late husband's legacy is being vigorously revived. As soon as Terry hears the words, "He's just like his dad," a shudder goes down her spine. The remarkable resemblance between Robert and Steve in appearance, personality, and evident appreciation for nature has been a much publicized aspect of Robert's transformation. The limitless energy, naive curiosity, and bravery among animals displayed by Robert have drawn comparisons to Steve, according to several spectators. Terry has a range of emotions in these situations. Robert, following in his father Jimmy Fallon's footsteps on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, featured several of his cherished pets in an appearance. While he confidently handled a big serpent and explained its significance to the audience, Terry confessed afterwards that she was brought to tears. "It was like Steve was standing there again," she added. "But it was also uniquely Robert. He's not just carrying Steve's torch, he's making his own fire." Watching Robert develop from an inquisitive child into an environmentalist who makes headlines all around the globe has been an incredibly tough experience for Terry, as it is for any parent. Terry reflected on the loving way her son Robert, then 2 years old, would follow Steve throughout the Australia Zoo, trying to mimic his every move. The memory was captured in a heartwarming family movie. "He's always been a little Steve," she said, her smile brimming with fond memories. "But what amazes me is how he's taken that influence and turned it into something so distinctly his own." The way Robert interacts with the public at large also shows signs of his maturation. He was reserved and shy as a kid, but these days he's a powerful voice for animal rights at conferences all around the globe. In an interview, Terry revealed that attending Robert's performances at major venues brings tears to her eyes. "That makes me even prouder," she said, "because I know how proud Steve would be." Throughout the numerous interviews, documentaries, and media appearances in which the Irwin family has participated, Terry's love and devotion for her children has been evident. Steve Irwin's life anniversary was marked with the airing of a touching tribute. The television images of Robert traveling the globe to rescue endangered creatures and performing research with crocodiles clearly affected Terry. "It's about more than just his job," she clarified. "It's about the heart he puts into it. Steve would have loved that." Terry is relieved that Robert is not traveling alone on this journey because his sister Bindi is accompanying him. Despite the inevitable highs and lows of fame, the brothers have become an unbeatable team, supporting one another through thick and thin. The fact that Terry's children are cooperating to achieve a shared objective brings her tremendous comfort and joy. Among the most notable and enduring legacies in human history is that of the Irwin family. Steve Irwin's initial concept of introducing people to animals has given rise to a global movement for education, change, and conservation. Robert, Bindi, and Terry have gone to great lengths to ensure the survival and growth of this legacy. Terry is overjoyed that her children have carried on Steve's legacy since it has touched their lives. Robert, the energetic and imaginative Irwin, and Bindi, the forward-thinking director of the Australia Zoo and a staunch supporter of animal rights, are two potential heirs to the family name. They are doing more than simply keeping Steve's legacy alive. They are making strides forward in it. The family embarked on a courageous journey to rescue and rehabilitate animals during the catastrophic bushfires in Australia. The Irwin family responded quickly, rescuing almost 980,000 animals and seeing to their medical needs at their wildlife hospital, while the world watched in horror as massive flames consumed vast portions of the country. Terry felt overwhelming pleasure as she watched her children take the lead in such a tremendous undertaking, which brought back a flood of memories of Steve's motive for doing this journey. The Irwin family has an impact that extends well beyond Australia. In particular, Robert has become a global voice for endangered species, traveling the globe to give speeches at conferences. Terry often expresses her delight in seeing her son's influence on a worldwide scale, and his effort has inspired many young people to defend animals. "It's not just about what he does," she said in a recent interview. "It's about the hope he brings to others." The Irwin family's tale is one of tenacity. The weight of expectations to live up to a beloved reputation was heavy on their shoulders, and they had to cope with unimaginable loss. But through thick and thin, they have remained a unit. Terry acknowledges that Steve created a strong foundation, but she also says that her own strength and dedication have been crucial in keeping everyone together. Terry finds fulfillment in witnessing the achievements of those she cares about. "We've been through so much," said the woman. "But what keeps us going is the love we have for each other, for the animals, and for the planet." Because of their unconditional love for one another, the Irwins serve as an example to ecologists all around the globe. Those who found this story moving may show their support by liking the video and leaving a comment. If you would want to ensure that you never miss a post like this, subscribe and turn on alerts. We value your attention and ask that you keep in mind the Irwin family as an example of love and perseverance.